It would seem as though.
Hello. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my god, thank you.
Oh my god. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, we are doing this bright and early in the
bitch.
morning because it's going to be 104 degrees today, and I would rather die.
Yeah, for real. I cannot.
First of all, I didn't approve this.
I don't appreciate that.
No, I don't appreciate it either. I think this is some chicanery that needs to just stop.
I feel like this is a discrimination, and I think we should take it
it's
to the
transphobic.
federal court. Yeah, maybe not the
It's
stoutest,
homophobic, transphobic.
Yeah, it's all the phobics.
It's all the phobics.
It's all the isms and the phobics.
Fat phobic. It's trying to kill us.
I think it's racist. I think the issue is there isn't a split between church and state anymore. So I think that's why it's so hot.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Because we're in hell.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, well, welcome to another week of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
I'm Vesta.
I'm Annika.
And I've got to give you more.
Thank you. Oh my word. Thank you.
I was carrying my computer bag.
I know. That stresses my cat out. She's like, Mom, what is that? What is that?
Cat. I was carrying my computer bag the other day, and it just started making random noises. And I was like, "What is?" Oh, right, my little sound machine. Now, for anybody who is at least in my age group, you'll understand this. It's about the size of a transistor radio.
Okay.
So, okay, for people younger than me, it's about the size of a flip phone. How's that? Is that about right?
I don't think a lot of people know what a flip phone is. Maybe
What?
say there.
So, what would be equivalent?
Well, because
Deck of cards?
let me tell you, when you ask children, people younger than me, how do you answer a phone, they don't do the thumb up, pinky up, put it to your mouth and ear.
Right.
They hold it like they're holding an iPhone or like
Right.
an... So they pick it up like it's a brick and put it to their ear. Right? So saying a flip phone...
There are some people I'd like to put a brick to their ear.
Girl, what's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. Now shut the fuck up. Yeah. So there's a lot of I don't think. I mean, they might know what a flip phone is, but I don't know about the size. It's like talking like I would say like an iPod.
It's closer to iPod or a deck of cards. It's
yeah.
small.
Oh, a deck of cards.
It's small and cheap, and as you can tell by the sound, it's pretty crappy.
Small and cheap.
But
So
small
you're
and
talking
cheap.
about me.
Well, cheap.
Cheap. This furniture's cheap.
Very nice. All my life I've been poor. Oh, honey, you got it wrong. You've been cheap. Oh my god, so here we are.
Here we are.
In beautiful Portland, Oregon, where
A heat
it
wave.
is the temperature of hell.
Heat wave. Yeah, bitch.
Which seems kind of appropriate for all the shit going on in the world right now.
Girl.
Hell seems about right. It's
Girl.
a hellscape.
Yeah.
You know, I have been watching more and more stuff about Project 2025.
Yeah.
And I learned some stuff. So Project 2025 is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Because they want to totally destroy all of the systems in place. Now, if you wanted to destroy all the systems in place, period,
Yeah.
and rebuild a
Yeah.
whole new system
Sure.
that was better, faster,
Yeah.
cuter, younger, whatever, I
Stronger,
don't care,
whatever,
all the things.
yeah.
But they're wanting to replace it with older, whiter, dumber.
Yeah.
You know.
Scary shit.
Well, here's what I learned yesterday.
Yeah.
So that is put forth by the Heritage Foundation.
Right.
Which they've been putting stuff out like this for 50 years.
Yeah.
Never heard of them before.
Me either.
And as a rule, they present it to the newly elected president
Okay.
to do with as he will. And they're always, of course, hoping that they'll incorporate all of their bad ideas. And as a rule, presidents just thank you and move on.
Yeah.
Reagan was the first president in history to take their little manifesto and say, I like all of this, and to put a lot of it into place.
Of course, yeah.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I was around for the Reagan years, and the Reagan years were so detrimental, specifically to the queer community. Mm-hmm. You know,
The
because
black
that's also
community.
the black community, the queer community, any bit marginalized community. One, because he was so far removed from it that he would just didn't think most of the shit even existed.
Yeah.
You know, he was, and I know we've talked about this many times, he refused to do anything when AIDS started becoming an epidemic. It wasn't until his friend died that he was like, oh
my God.
This is real. You know, so, but he was the first one to implement a whole lot of their ideas.
Yeah.
Who was president after him? George?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Senior.
George Senior. And he implemented a few of their ideas. And then Clinton, none.
Right. Okay.
George H.W., none.
Okay.
And of course Obama, none.
Yeah.
You know, but this guy, of course, if Trump wins, he wants to...
Did he not do it his first term?
He did.
Oh, okay.
He implemented some of that, which was how Roe v. Wade got overturned.
Scary.
How the Supreme Court is now stacked with conservative who have no real respect or care for the law.
No.
Because now they can take bribes. They're just calling it a gift.
But let me tell you something that I think is great.
What's that?
Out of all of this that has happened is that finally, after all of these years, some conservatives are like coming to their senses, like they've been in a coma for the past fucking decade. And some are like, I am a conservative, I am a Republican, but this is crazy. But this is like too much. Like Donald Trump and his lies and his, he's an old man and he's just bullshitting, and like his policies, his standards, and the shit that they want to try and pass it's extremist, right? It's not
it's
just
dangerous.
Yeah, and it's not just like, oh, it's conservative. It's extremist,
right?
And so like that's why when people want to fucking talk about, this is kind of deviating a little bit, but when people want to talk about extremists from other nations or extremists from other religions or like Islamic extremists, I'm like, have you been to the fucking United States? There's a whole political party where half of their the people who follow them are fucking extremists, and anywhere else would be considered extremists.
That's the thing for me when you say that, is I think about how it's always white people who will say, oh, this group is so extreme. Yeah. And you're not? I mean, let's look historically at white Christians. Yeah. And the ones who so vehemently identify as Christian but also hate everyone else, right? Yeah. Who will very proudly say, we're anti-queer, we're anti, they're anti-everything, as opposed to being pro people. Yeah, just and people in general. Being like it says in the Bible to, to love everyone. Yeah.
Well, and I think the fact that sundown towns still exist, even, how small they might be or how few they might be at this point, but the fact that there are still sundown towns, places that if people of color go to, they could be harmed, and I'm sure that is included to queer people, at this point in time. I just don't understand, like, why. I mean, I understand it because those are like that's the ideology that this is corrupting America. Yeah. There's too much race mixing. We're allowing the queers to get groom children, and there's all of these things that's the detriment. It's not your old idiotic traditional, quote unquote, traditional values that's harming America. No, it's all the people who are different than you. You're right.
No, the most dangerous group, I think, is white women.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't say that we're trying to be funny, because if you look historically, and let's just take a couple examples. Yeah. Emmett Till. Yep. Emmett Till was brutally murdered because a white woman said, well, what did she say? He winked at me, or he said, whistled, that was it. Yeah. Which we, found out later, she recanted that story. He said, well, it never happened. Well, then you should go to jail, because this kid was murdered because you, with your white woman tears, all you had to say was, this black child,
this 11, 12-year-old boy, he was little boy.
He was 14.
Was he? Okay, but he was a little boy.
Yeah, he was a little boy.
Yeah.
And he was then murdered so brutally. But then look at the Tulsa massacre. Same idea. Yep. Some white woman cried and said, oh, these men were saying things to me and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but nobody did anything to you. Somebody looked at you or whatever. And you
Had a
got an
full-blown
entire area burned to the ground.
Bombed,
And
bitch.
people
Yes. It was terrifying,
so it was, and of course they were looking for a reason.
Yeah.
Because this area, which I'm sure really pissed off the white people. They had basically told black people, here's the only place in this part of, the country you can live. You can live in this part of Tulsa.
Yeah.
Nowhere else. You can't buy property anywhere else. And they succeeded.
Yeah.
And they went beyond success.
It was called the Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it was
thriving
and whatever. And that pissed off the white people. Because a lot of white people around the area were doing very poorly financially. Yeah. And they used these white women's tears as an excuse to burn it down.
Yeah.
To destroy, to murder people, to destroy their businesses, whatever. It's like...
Yeah.
And, it's just... Well, the whole idea that... And now, nothing's changed.
No, I was going to say, the insidiousness of white women and their crying is apparent today. And it was very apparent, during BLM. That's, Black Lives Matter, that, it happened because of George Floyd and, it had been ongoing. It was building, right? But it was, during that summer where how many times were white women recorded, crying, being they're barbecuing, they're surrounding me at a park barbecuing,
Right.
Crying. That shit is so pathetic.
I was scared. Well, there was that woman in Central Park who, the black man...
Who's a bird
asked
watcher.
her nicely.
Yeah.
To put her dog on a leash because this was not an off-leash park.
Yeah.
And for the safety of her dog and the animals in the park, the birds and whatnot, he needed to be on a leash. And she turned on her white woman tears, called the police and said, this black man is threatening my life. He asked you to put a leash on your dog.
Yep.
And he asked nicely.
Yeah.
And because he has, grown up in this environment, he knew from the minute one to start recording the conversation. She's all the way on, she's easily 20, 30 feet away.
Yeah.
And going, oh, he feels threatened. He's threatening me. It's no.
Yeah.
Somebody told you what to do. You don't like it.
Girl.
And now you're crying and trying to get some... And using the words that I feel threatened. I feel like my life is in danger.
I think he has a weapon.
Right.
That
is the one that'll get him shot before they even, anything.
Well, and also, more and more now, because there's been so much uproar against police about the brutality of black people, that now, and this has been the law, but if you call the police saying that, oh, I see he has a gun, I see that he had a weapon, and you confirm that, or I assume he did, you can go to prison. Which is because you're falsely accusing somebody of, aggressive behavior. God damn it, there's something I was going to say. Oh, recently, there have been white women. There was a video, I watched it the other day, of this woman who walked into, a Free Palestine encampment at a university, and she's calling the police, and she's like, oh my god, they're surrounding me, right? Not crying, just
So she walked into the middle of their demonstration.
And said, they're surrounding me, I need help, they're being violent, and they're all like, no, we're not. They're all just standing there, and behind her, there's nobody. She could just turn around and walk away. But she's just like, oh my god, they're here to kill me. Oh my god, they're so violent. And, trying to cry.
Right.
And everyone's like, what? And she's like, I'm Jewish, and they want to kill me because I'm Jewish. And then there's, the block of Jewish, Free Palestine protesters who are like, we're Jewish. What do you mean? They're not trying to kill us. What are you talking about? Yeah. What next? Yeah, crazy. Cuckoo. That white women tear shit is such bullshit.
It is, and it's, throughout history, has just been dangerous.
Yes.
I saw a video yesterday. It was a young man who's in 8th grade, a young white man, doing some slam poetry.
Yeah.
And his whole thing was about white privilege.
I love that.
And how he's saying, I'm a 14-year-old white boy. I grew up in privilege. I have always had privilege, so I've never known different. Until I started learning about basically the other people who don't have privilege. And that I'm just privileged literally because of the color of my skin. No reason. It's not like I'm smarter than anyone else or whatever. And one of the things I really loved about it is, as he was talking about who else should be able to, just be privileged just because.
Yeah.
He was like, why are women just in general not?
Yeah.
Just
in general,
they're women,
blanket statement.
And people of color and whatever. And he said, in his thing, he's like, but would I give up my privilege? No. It's like, I don't know how to live without privilege. I'm scared to live without privilege. I've never known what it's like. He's like, I want everyone else to have it, but I can't imagine not having it. And I loved the honesty of it. And he's like, but...
Well, and that's the other thing. If everyone else had the same privileges you would, then you wouldn't be privileged. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then you would be without your privileges.
Well, and there's always that thing that's floated around for years that, rights are not like pie. Someone else having theirs doesn't take anything away from you. Mm-mm. But it actually kind of does.
Yeah.
Because as you just said, if everyone has privilege, then no one does.
It's that whole idea. And, like, it's summed up in The Incredibles by Dash and Mrs. Incredible.
Right.
When he says, well, if everyone's special, then no one's special.
Right. And it's that equaling things out that I think white people specifically are afraid of.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do you mean I won't be superior? What do you mean I won't be special? What do you mean I will be equal to these people who I've always, thought of as being beneath me?
Yeah. No, I get that. And I don't get it in the sense that white people get it.
No.
That's just the truth of it. And unlike most white people, I just feel like I'm better than everybody. So it's, like, really hard for me. You know what I mean? To, like, exist in a world where everyone's just such a loser. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to interact with people, full stop, period. The house down boots, bitch. So, I don't really care. I don't think about... What's weird is that I have such empathy and I want to, like, heal the world, So I care about humanity and humans, but I don't care about...
But from afar.
Yeah, but I don't care about human. Do you know what I mean? I don't care about human. I care about humanity and humans. But I don't care about you. You know what I mean? I don't care about you as an individual right now. I care about the people. I don't know. But then on the other hand of that mob mentality shit also scares the living fuck out of me. When people get together and they start getting crazy...
Yes.
That shit's scary.
Because it seems like no matter what the cause, it's fairly easy to whip people up into a frenzy. Oh. And I have seen, like, newsreels where there's a group of folks walking down the street in a protest. Yeah. And folks will be like, oh, I should join this. There's a lot of people here. And they don't even know what they're joining. Mm-mm. And it's like, really?
Nor
you just no clue, and you're like, but there's a lot of people, so I should be part of this.
But there's a protest.
I need to be part of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of protests,
tell me.
I have to tell you this because it's so fucking funny.
Tell me.
A MAGA fan,
can't wait,
in Ohio, burned down his own house trying to burn a gay pride flag.
And you know what that is called, bitch? The gay agenda.
That's right. I was like, oh my god. First of all, why wouldn't you burn it in a, can outside your something?
What he just burned it in his living room?
I don't know. But,
what a dumb bitch.
all those flags now are just made of, synthetic material and whatever. And I'm sure that went up,
he just got his hot breath
his motherfucking house down.
Yeah, bitch. Good.
And I'm like...
Fuck that fool.
So that was one headline that I was
Did he have a family?
I don't know.
Because that would have been even better, because now you look like a dumbass fool, and now your family doesn't have a home. Right. And, I'm sorry for your family, but, don't be dumb.
I'm sorry that your family's part of your family.
Yeah, I can't wait till your kids grow up and hate you.
So, another headline that I'm just going to admit it, there were moments in it where I had to laugh, because I'm like, this seems too just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was an audio clip of a pilot calling into the tower.
Okay.
And saying, I'm going to be landing soon. I need help. I don't have a co-pilot. And the tower's like, well, where is your co-pilot? And he said, he literally jumped out of the plane with no parachute.
Why?
He was done, I guess. I don't know. Mental health issues, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But the person in the tower, clearly not understanding, was like, you don't have a co-pilot. He's like, no, and the reason I'm calling you right now is he just jumped out of the plane. So when you come over here and look for the body, this will be the area that it's in. So mark my,
Yeah, mark my words, bitch.
But, mark my location on your map so you know at least the general area to look for this guy. And literally, the guy is like, well, so then do you need help landing? What is it he's like, my co-pilot just killed himself. And literally, I'm hearing this guy go, what are you not understanding about my co-pilot opened the door and jumped out the plane?
Out. Yeah.
No not like, woo, fun, give me my parachute. Nope.
Just out.
And it was, but the guy in the tower, I don't know if he was just so
shocked
that he was just like, well, I don't know what you're saying.
That can't be.
I mean, you're saying words that strung together make sense, but this scenario doesn't make sense.
This is wrong.
That your co-pilot would just walk off the plane.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is.
And yeah, because the pilot was like, do you want me to like circle the area so that you can find it on the map? Because I can tell you where it is or whatever.
Yeah.
But the guy was just like, what?
No.
So do you need help landing?
Yeah.
He's like,
so you need us to try and catch your co-pilot?
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, probably dumb.
So you know my good friend Jamie Lee Curtis.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do know you're good, Judy.
I was watching a little interview with her the other day, and she said something that is really simple but profound at the same time, which is, because she's been sober, I think she said 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that when you stop being a people pleaser, people are not going to be pleased.
Exactly.
And I was like, that sounds really obvious, but I understand also what she means, is that the people who all these years have counted on you to just do the thing that's going to make them happy are going to be like, wait,
what?
Why is this changing now?
Yeah. Why don't you do what I want you to do like you've always done? No, I get that. It's true.
Yeah. And a thing that I heard the other day that... honestly, when I heard it, I immediately thought of you.
Oh, good. Okay.
And mostly because of conversations that we've had. And the phrase was, life is about managing the suffering.
Girl. Yeah. Honestly.
Because people are like, well, life is about, I want to have a happy life and do this and love and blah, 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 and whatever. This, to me, feels like the most accurate statement I've ever heard. Life is about managing the suffering.
Yes, girl. And that's so accurate because how many times have we talked about, like, personally for both of us, we've both gone through, like, really shitty times where it made sense that life sucked. But then we've also gone through times where we had, virtually no real struggle, no real issue. And still, it doesn't feel like life. Sometimes it just feels like, and? You know what I mean? Like, whether you're struggling or you're not, life is just kind of... Okay. And I understand the beauty of it, but humans have fucked it up for me. Like, to the nth degree,
Which is why I always say I used to be a people person, and people ruined that.
Yeah, 100%. Bitch, this cat over here, I want you to know, she is like, what's this chapstick? What's this foam? What's this? And now she's like hitting my drink, trying to knock it over. You knock it off, bitch.
What's this?
I know. I wrote down a quote yesterday. It's from the show The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Because
I love that show. I almost said I love that movie. I love that
movie show. We just finished watching it for like the billionth time. And she says at some point, life happens. The only thing you can control is how you deal with it. And I was like...
Yeah.
Yes, for fucking real. And sometimes how you deal with it is crying. But that's accurate. And I used to say, people would say, well, like, that's not fair. Life's so unfair. And you're right.
Life's not fair.
Life's not fair. But the only reason life is fair is it's because it's unfair to all of us. You know?
Okay, that was deep.
But do you know what I mean? Like,
I do know because I think people think about it. And I think that goes back into the whole God thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people think about it as some great, scales in the sky, some great judge who's going, okay, Annika, yesterday you got hit by lightning. Today you're going to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Or
balancing.
Your life was really rough as a child, so now it's got to be really great.
All the time.
Nobody's dishing that out for you.
No.
You have to make those choices. You have to make it work. And some people never get the tools to make that happen.
Yeah.
And people who've lived a really hard life don't even know where that toolbox is, let alone how to access them.
Yeah.
And I worked with this woman several years ago who one day we were talking and she was just talking about how miserable her life was. Mm-hmm. And it's always been miserable and this horrible thing and that horrible thing and blah, 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 blah. But all of the horrible things sounded to me like things that she kind of brought on herself.
Sure, yeah.
Or should have walked away from, or whatever. And I said, well, I have found, for me, that life is what you make it.
Mm.
You know, so
Ain't that the truth?
if you want to have a better life, you have to choose to have a better life.
Yeah.
To which she said to me, well, I'm sure your life has just always been easy. Oh, bitch.
I hate that shit.
Bitch. First of all, no.
No.
Grew up fat, poor, queer in the country.
Yeah, so tell me how easy that is.
How easy was my life?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
in the 60s and 70s. Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, I see these kids today.
Yeah.
I mean, young people today, you know, when they come out to their parents or don't even come out because they're like, yeah, of course I'm queer, blah, 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 whatever. Or whatever their thing is, they often are met with, and...
And what?
And what? Not at all the case of people from my generation.
Sure, yeah.
You know, often, and I have a lot of friends who their parents disowned them.
Mm-hmm.
Their parents... I had a friend who his mother won the Oregon lottery.
Okay.
And she won over $1 million.
Damn.
After taxes.
Damn.
And when he died of AIDS, she refused to pay for his funeral.
Okay.
Or to even go to his funeral.
What a cunt.
Because, well, he was queer and he had AIDS, so...
I hate that.
My religious beliefs wouldn't allow...
Let me tell you something.
So, wait. So where in the Bible does it say you're supposed to hate people and that you're supposed to judge them and then you're the judge and jury of that?
Girl, let me tell you what, these self-righteous motherfuckers, the idea that you can't go see queer people, have queer people, love your queer son because they're queer and somehow the Bible doesn't like that, then find a new fucking God. Do you know what I mean? If you believe that your God tells you that you can't love somebody based on who they love, then find a new God.
Well, your God is trash.
Your God is trash, and I feel that way. I mean, and I talk about this all the time currently with what's happening in the Middle East. Like, if your God tells you that you need to harm others or hate other people or kill others to be saved or safe or chosen, then you need to find another fucking God.
Right.
Because your God isn't worth your worship.
Perhaps, just perhaps, you have misread the entire thing. Perhaps whatever you were taught growing up turns out to not be true.
Yeah.
Perhaps you need to, as an adult... get some critical thinking and look at this thing and go, hang on.
Weird.
So my loving God is telling me to murder people?
Yeah.
Or is telling me to burn a flag or burn a cross on their yard or burn their flag or...
Yeah.
But no.
No.
Some white person is telling you that.
Yeah. Some men who compiled these books.
Some fragile white man.
These were old white men. And, like, if we don't understand... I feel like we're all kind of dumb. I think humanity in general is a little bit stupid because we say things like, well, a woman could never be president or a woman could never, whatever, lead the nation or army.
You know, we're so emotional.
When she has her period, what's she going to do? She's going to push the big red button and just nuke the world. I'm sorry. Almost every war throughout human history has been started and perpetuated by men.
I don't think it's almost. I think it's all of them.
Well, I'm sure there are some that aren't, right? But even when women are involved, think about, like, the Trojan War. Like... this woman didn't want to stay married to this man because he was a piece of shit and loved the guy who was from the other team. So a whole war broke out about it. And people, for 10 years.
Yes. For 10, right? A war that lasted for 10 years.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And, you know.
Well, so one of the things that is happening right now is that in some states they've made it mandatory that they put up the 10 Commandments in classrooms. And
weird.
I read this whole ridiculous thread on Facebook, and it was between two of my aunts.
Yeah.
One who I love and one who's a trash bag.
Yeah.
Because she's hyper-religious, but it's that hyper-religious that's better than you, and she makes sure that you know she's better than you.
Is this the same aunt whose husband died of COVID, and she said it was his time?
Because God called him home.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. On the hotline. He got around the hotline and said, it's your turn, come on.
He said, Jenny.
Right? You call him 867-509.
Yeah,
Just call him right up. My aunt, who I love, said, I don't understand how this person that you're backing, well, first of all, she said, putting the 10 Commandments in every classroom, why? Yeah. This man that y'all are backing has probably broken most of them.
Honestly.
And her reply was, well, people thought Jesus was wrong too in his time. Are you actually comparing Trump to Jesus?
And
even if you're not religious,
yeah,
most religions accept that Jesus existed, right?
Yeah.
And that he was a prophet, but a prophet who was about love. There is not a loving bone in that horrible orange man's body. Everything he says is about hate.
Yeah, I want you to know that shit is comical to me because years ago, Bush Jr., he was in a debate, and they asked, like, who do you think yourself in history? Who do you compare yourself to? You know, like, who you're most like? And he said Jesus Christ, and I thought that was the most bananas thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. But to hear Donald Trump say it is even worse because, you know,
and his followers, who are allegedly devoutly religious, to say that God sent him and he's being persecuted like Jesus was.
Is this not blasphemy?
Yes.
Girls, like, that's all blasphemy, yes? You were saying shit that's untrue about God's son and him being like Jesus. Like, that's wrong in the eyes of Christianity, is it not?
Right, but he's being...
Is this not idol
being
worship?
tested, you see.
But is this...
Like Jesus was, Trump is being tested.
But isn't Trump being used as an idol?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and even so much as when they had that big convention, I remember somebody built a gold statue of Trump that people were, like, rubbing and kissing and taking pictures with. And it's like, that is directly out of the Bible of idol worship, which is one of the things that is wrong and bad. And for them to blindly follow him, which is how it is. It is a blind following. They're like, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, he didn't do that. Well, there's video showing him saying he did it. Well, and now, of course, with AI, people are like, well, that's fake.
It's all fake. Deep fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, me being the bitch who's into, like, mythology and spiritual shit and witchy shit, I have, you know, I try to look up things and research a lot of things that are just interesting to me, but also about mythology and history and shit. One time I was Googling, like, different gods, you know, and, like, what they stood for. And I was like, who's the god of, like, empathy and compassion and, like, love? Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? So, like, out of Jesus' whole life, other than when he was a child, when he was, like, killing kids because he was mad, you know, he atoned. It's fine. Everything that you learn about in the Bible about Jesus, none of it is what any of these Christians today do.
No.
It is bananas.
And if you have actually read the Bible...
Yeah.
And if you are one of the people who doesn't cherry pick it, because that is a very popular thing to do, to be like, well, in this verse, but the verse right next to it says something equally cuckoo crazy. But you're not taking your child out back and stoning them because they, you know, worked on Sunday or they whatever. The first half of the Bible, the Old Testament, which in some other religions is the only thing that they go by. They don't go by the New Testament at all. But the division between the Old Testament and the New Testament is Jesus coming to earth and being crucified and being the only sacrifice that ever needed to be made from that point forward. Because prior to that, the sacrifices were like lambs, goats, whatever. They would sacrifice them to the gods, which is so Greek God to me. But whatever.
Yes.
But blah, blah. So when God was like, okay, so I'm sick of my own shit. I need to cool off. I need to just calm down and stop being so vain. And stop being so angry all the time. Because he was talked about in the Old Testament as being an angry God.
Vengeful.
A wrathful, vengeful God. But in the New Testament, he's a God of love.
Yeah, he's peace, love.
He's like, well, because I think...
He smoked a little reef.
I think he smoked a lot of reefer.
Yeah.
I think he finally was like, now what is this plant?
He said, yo, mama.
I should have some of this and test it out. Because all the kids are smoking it. Maybe I'll have some. But the whole New Testament is supposed to be about God is love. God is, or, you know, Jesus came down to the world, down to the earth to spread love and compassion and kindness, which is exactly what is missing from all of these, you know, right-wing religious nuts who are trying to run the country. And I don't think all Christians are nuts. I think there are good people out there who go by what the Bible says, and that's their choice and their option and whatever, but it's the people like the Heritage Foundation and these people who are like, it is our way or the highway, man.
Or you're going to die.
Or you're going to die,
Yeah.
which is, because God has said we have this power. No. God never said that. God never said that you should be the judge. As a matter of fact, it says in the Bible, there is no judge but God. So I'm sorry, Aunt Joe. You don't get to be the judge. Although, don't tell her that because she is judge and jury.
Bitch.
And as are most of these people who are what are being referred to as Christian nationalists.
Yeah.
They are the ultimate judge and jury, and if they say you're wrong, you are on basically the endangered list.
Yeah.
Girl,
I think I have several issues. The fact that God was real mad and angry and mean at the time of, like, creation, and then he was, like, sweet and kind when he sent his son to be slaughtered.
None of it makes sense.
I wouldn't trust a man like that. What the fuck do you think I'm gonna trust a God like that? And the whole mentally ill portion of it, and I get it, bitch. I thrive in my mental illness. But the fact that the God you worship is clearly mentally ill and needs some assistance, and you think he's just perfect, I don't think that he is. If he was, like, angry and vengeful and wrathful and flooding worlds and killing people, and now he's all good, I don't think he's a God. Because I think gods should be, like, in the idea of Christianity, your God should be, like, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing is, and we've talked about this many times in the Old Testament, that God is more like the gods of mythology.
Yeah.
Who is more like human, who has human flaws. And, like you aren't paying any attention to me. I need to do something to get your attention.
Yeah.
And, that thing wasn't enough. Well, now I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, now, and you didn't do what I wanted. I gave you free will, and you didn't do what I wanted. Flood the world.
Flood the world.
Okay.
Burn it down.
Here's my other question that I've never understood. Why people are like, oh...
One is a theologist. I'm sure I'll be able to help
maybe. You know more about it than I do, specifically the Bible. But, like, God's... the Holy Spirit said, hey, Mary, I know you're a little kid, but you about to be pregnant. And bye, we're going to leave you to figure it out. Tell everyone you're a virgin, whatever. And then Jesus is born and goes through his life, whatever, and then he's crucified. And Jesus is murdered for our sins, right?
Yes.
And now we never have to sacrifice anything ever again,
right,
because our sins are forever.
Right, I'm with you so far.
So why then are people, Christians, etc., so pressed about people sinning today? If Jesus, 2,000 whatever years ago, died for my sins and for everybody's sins, then why is it a big deal if I sin?
Okay, so that is a confusing topic because in the Bible,
tell me.
It says, if you confess your sins to me, being God, that you will be forgiven. Well, if you ask for forgiveness, you have to also ask for forgiveness.
Okay.
Which I'm a big proponent of anyway in real life. You should ask for forgiveness if you expect to get it.
Yeah.
But if you come to me, God, not me, I don't care. If you come to God with a repenting heart and ask for forgiveness, you will be forgiven.
Is this after he killed his son?
Yeah. Because before that, it was like you have to slaughter a goat and, make a big idol to me and blah, blah, blah.
Weird.
But then, again, reefer. Yeah. And he calmed down and he
said, I'll just kill my son.
And he's like, wait a second.
I have a better idea.
And of course, that whole thing, to me, is so bizarre that I am the Father and the Son and this other character too, who's really unclear. But going back to the angel appearing to Mary and saying, "Listen, I realize you've only been able to even get pregnant for about the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and you're about to get married, which is gross because you're 14.
Yeah,
but." I am going to hijack your entire life here.
Don't worry about that.
And you don't have a choice. And you get to explain to everybody how you got pregnant. And explain it to your soon-to-be husband, who has never had sex with you.
Weird.
How you're suddenly pregnant.
Jeez. Or God.
Which I think, we're going to go with that narrative and pretend it's true.
Yeah. How fucked.
If it's true. It is fucked up.
One of the most fucked up.
What I was like, did she have any say in it? Did she have consent? Did she say, I would be happy to be your vessel to bring this child into the world? No!
I'm sure not.
And so that is so fucked up. While we're talking about the Bible.
Oh, good.
I saw this thing.
Okay.
There's a guy on the TikTok.
Love.
And he calls himself, I think it's G-Gazes.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah.
But he's G-Gazes.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that whole man versus bear thing, who you want to come across in the woods.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another one, but I'm going to do his first. Mm-hmm. And he was, because the whole thing is that this started in the UK. They were asking women, would you rather find yourself alone in the woods with a bear or with a man? And most women said a bear. Because a bear, one, is most likely to only harm you if it's hungry or if you have done something to it or its children. Whereas a man needs no provocation.
Well,
the other thing is if you tell people you were attacked by a bear and show the marks,
they believe you.
People will believe you.
Yeah.
Where if you say you were attacked by a man, oh, were you though? What did you do?
Well, and I've also heard people say, like, a man won't lie to get closer to me. A man won't, you know what I mean?
A bear.
Yeah, a bear won't lie to get closer to me, whatever. All the things that men do to manipulate
the bear's
women.
not going to trick me into anything.
Yes, exactly.
Well, so he says, he's talking, he goes, this answer, the I'd rather face a bear, is also covered in the Bible. And I was like, wait, what? There is a verse, and he said the chapter and verse, of course, and I didn't write it down. But there's a verse in the Bible that talks about it is better to face a mama bear who's lost her cubs. Now, that's a pissed off bear already. Than a man set on folly. But, well, so, okay, Bible people who are like, look at that.
Yeah.
So that to me says that all these women who people are like, oh, can you believe they're even saying that? Yes.
Yeah.
And then I saw a video yesterday of this young woman who can say from experience that she would rather face a bear.
Yeah.
So she was in the woods with her family, camping, and this bear started stalking her, as they will if they're hungry, whatever. And her mom was there, and it was just specifically stalking her. I don't know why. She didn't know why. But she said that her mom told her, okay, when I say 3, you're going to run as fast as you can to the house. Because, hopefully you can outrun the bear. Which, of course, you're not going to be able to. And so she did, and the girl ran. And she did end up getting attacked by the bear. But she was okay. And she lived. And she later was sexually assaulted by a young man at her school who she and her mother went to the school and said, no.
Yeah.
This happened, and the school's like, well, there's nothing really we can do. And it ended up later, after nobody would do anything, except for her family. Her family was behind her 100%, which isn't always the case either.
Yeah.
Then this young man ended up raping her. And it's like, so, yeah, I'd rather face the bear. And she said, if you had to kill the bear, you're not going to have qualms about that, most likely because it's you or the bear. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you kill the man, you're probably going to prison, even though he was attacking you. So, bear.
Bear, girl.
I mean, as a man I know,
it's different.
But bear.
I know. Well, and men have no qualms about proving that point for women when they're like, you dumb fucking bitch, don't you know a goddamn bear will kill you in the woods? Like, you're proving our point, motherfucker. You're getting mad because we said bear. You're getting mad.
Well, how often have you had it happen to you or heard about it where a man comes up to you and, like, flirts with you, wants to get to know you, wants your phone number, and if you say, no, thank you, then you're a cunt.
Yeah.
Because I was just being nice to you.
You're ugly fucking bitch. Yeah.
And you go from being this object of desire to then them going, well, you're stupid and ugly anyway. And it's like, are you 5?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, someone told you no, and so your feelings are all hurt.
Yeah.
And, or as, all the foster boys, your butt hurt.
Your butt hurt.
And you have to then diminish that person.
Or
to get physical with them, because how dare they say no to you, big strong man?
I know, that's the thing. Men are like, I'm big, I'm strong, I could fight, whatever.
Where I am alpha.
Yeah, except here's the thing, baby. Your brain don't work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your brain, you think you alpha, but you get real injured. Your ego fragile.
Right.
The fragilest, tiny little bump, and you're all, ooh, the bear will kill you, stupid. Like, yeah, you dumb idiot. I would rather die by a bear than by you.
Well, and the bear is not doing it to satisfy their
because
ego.
I said no.
Right. The bear is doing it either because you have done something,
or
because they're hungry.
Hungry.
You know, and you're in their territory.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. I know we had a topic today, which we're clearly not going to get to.
Sure.
Or we can spend like 15 minutes on it.
No.
But there was something else I actually wanted to talk about this last week.
Tell me.
And I know because you worked at Starbucks, you know all about this. Is retail relationships. You know, where as a retail person, you are expected to have some kind of relationship with all of your clientele. Which nobody wants.
Not really.
Nobody wants. The clients don't want it.
Yeah.
The employees don't want it. So I don't understand why the people running the companies go, we want you to do this because it's going to... Yeah, it's going to make people want to come back. It doesn't. There might be some people who are super lonely.
Yeah.
And that trip through Starbucks is their only human contact, and that's great for them. But I bet those are the people who are also going to initiate a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, the Starbucks person was friendly.
Yeah.
They said, how's your day? Do you have any big plans for the day? Blah, blah, blah. And that person used that time to actually have some connection.
Yeah.
But if they want that, great.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us who would rather you just handed us our coffee and said thank you or how much it is, whatever they say, you know, it's like, great. How's your day? It's fine.
Yeah.
Although I heard the other day that typically people who are autistic, small talk is not a thing to them. They don't want to do it. They don't understand it. It's like, why are we chit-chatting about the weather or any of this other stuff? Because this is meaningless.
You just have to.
Right. Well, and it's like because of the way often that their brains are wired, that small talk is just stupid and it's a waste of time.
Well, it is stupid and a waste of time. I mean, it is. It's just
if you ask somebody, how are you?
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're not going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, if I ask you how you are, you know that I actually care and I'm invested and whatever. And so you're going to tell the truth. But if the girl at Target asks you how you are, you're just going to say, fine, thank you.
I'm doing great, thanks.
Blah, blah, blah. And you might, if you're nice, you might say, how are you?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, and specifically, I'm with a girl at Target. I was going through the line one day, and girl at Target says, how are you today? And I was like, fine, thank you. And you? I shouldn't have said and you. Because then she was like, oh, girl.
Oh, my cat died.
I got so drunk last night. I have such a hangover. I shouldn't even be here today.
I just vomited in this bag over here.
Man.
Yeah, for real.
Man.
Meow.
I don't need to know any of that. And that's not going to make me go, oh, sweetie, yes, you should go home. It's going to make me go, yeah, you need to make better choices.
Yeah, girl.
And I'm not going to still say it to you.
No.
Because I don't know you.
You're going to be like, oh.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Trash.
Or the girl at Starbucks. And I know you remember when I said, because her window was facing directly into the sun. And I was like, oh, gosh, that must be rough for you to have to be on this side of the building where you're looking at the sun all morning. And her answer was, not as bad as losing your cat.
I know. What? Yeah, I bet. What?
So, I know for a fact that when you made that statement, you were expecting me to bite.
Yeah.
To be like, what? Because that was a fishing expedition.
You have a cat.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you what? And there was a big part of me that wanted to just go, oh, and leave it at that.
No.
Or, okay. But,
girl, I was in the passenger seat, like, trying not
You were dying.
I know, I was trying not to
I need to
laugh
crawl out of the car so she doesn't see me laughing.
At her.
Because that is a socially weird kind of... I was like, what?
Yeah, you're right. There's sun in my eyes, but it's not as bad as your cat dying. What do you...
Well, it wasn't her cat ran away or something. Some shit. And it was like, what?
Yes, I too would be devastated.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be at work.
But I guess no,
and I wouldn't be talking to some stranger
and
about it.
I wouldn't segue every conversation to be like, "You're right, today's beautiful, but my cat died."
Right. Gosh, it's kind of. Have you had a hard day at work? Not as hard as my cat being
Yeah. Oh, you're going to church? Well, guess what? My cat died. Like, that's too much for me. I want to go back to the Starbucks thing.
Okay.
Because I will tell you that, yes, they do often push, like, make a connection, make a connection, make a connection. And I feel like the older I get, the more introverted I am. I don't really want to make a connection. Although, I feel as if I'm not doing the most when I worked at Starbucks with every customer. Hi, how are you? What can I get for you? Anything else, right?
Right, which is what I expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, as you're paying and we're doing the transaction, have any big plans for today? Like, are you doing anything in the snow? Whatever, right?
Right.
But then there are customers that you see every day. And I worked at that Starbucks for 5+ years. I saw them every day for 5+ years. You know what I mean? So there are people that you get to know.
Sure.
There's people that you build relationship with. And sometimes the relationship begins and ends there. It doesn't leave the building.
Right.
But then there are people that you build relationships with, that you see, that you build actual, like Heather Rachel. We worked together at Starbucks. Heather Ian, that's how we became friends.
Right.
And so, yeah. But some of the customers that I've met, I've also maintained in contact because, like, old man Chris and whatever. But it's not everybody, and it takes time.
Yes.
I can turn on my, like, hi, how's it going? I'm your best friend kind of thing because I'm just sarcastic. But anymore, the thought of needing to, like, build relationships in a retail environment,
right,
tires me out, girl. The idea of it.
And there's that too. I know that when I worked at what was then Meyer and Frank, it's now Macy's. I worked in a salon there, and a salon by nature, you have to make small talk with people, but it's one-on-one, and you have them for a while, so it'd be awkward if you didn't. Although it'd be fine with me if you said, you know what, I'm not really wanting to talk today. I'd be like, all right.
Yeah, sick.
Perfect.
Love it.
I'll just listen to the radio and cut your hair, do whatever. But I also worked in the jewelry department for a while. Yeah. And if you want to sell jewelry, you have to have a relationship with these people. You have to not only sell them on whatever it is they think they need, but you have to sell them on the fact that they can trust you, that you're not going to cheat them, and that you're not going to sell them something that is going to not be exactly what they want. Yeah. I hated it.
Same.
I hated it because it's like, if you want to buy a ring, buy a ring. Yep. I don't fucking care. Yep. But I would be like, oh, yes, that's a beautiful choice.
My favorite.
You sure can pick a ring.
Please don't buy it. I want it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but that's the one I was going to buy. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. You have great taste. Well, I don't care. And for me to even comment on your taste is saying that I am somehow the judge of what is good and what is bad. Yeah. No, thank you.
No, I'm also...
And I don't care what you're doing for the rest of the day. So I'm not going to ask if you have plans, if you're going to go enjoy the sunshine. No. Blah, blah, blah. I might say as you're leaving, enjoy your day. Yeah. Enjoy your weekend. Well, and hope you, whatever you do, you have fun, something. Yeah. But I don't care what it is.
But on average, no. And here's the thing. Unless you come in and we build that connection, like, almost immediately, and you're a girl, a gay, a they, a goth, then I'm probably into it, and I'll chit-chat with you until I die. Because that's fun for me, right? But if you're just a Joe Schmo customer, and because I also sold jewelry, I, too, hated every minute of it. Because most of the people I sold jewelry to were men.
Yes.
And one of two things happened with regularity. They were buying a piece of jewelry for their wife, girlfriend, soon-to-be fiance, whatever.
And hitting on you.
And hitting on me every time, yes. Yeah. Or they were probably buying jewelry for whatever, their partner, but they were always pulling out wads of cash or money or, like, a black Amex, or always talking about their money, always showing their wealth.
Look how impressive I am.
Look at my Rolex, look at my whatever, and I'm just like... I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, in the slightest, not at all. Like, I don't care.
Do you know what a Rolex says to me?
What?
You have way more money than sense. I'm sorry, but I can buy a really nice watch that'll keep time and will look nice. Because, I mean, if I'm going to wear a watch, which I don't, I would want it to, A, look cute on my wrist, and to be accurate, and to last. I don't need to spend $100,000 on a watch.
No.
Or however much. I don't know how much Rolex is. I know it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't need to spend that kind of money on a watch. It's a watch.
I agree.
Unless it's magical and is going to extend my life or what It's a
Scotty
watch.
can beam me up through it.
Yeah. Oh. See, now that'd
I
be
want
different.
it.
Because it's a fucking watch.
I do feel that way. You know, I, for a long time, really cared about fashion. And then didn't. And I still don't really care about fashion.
Right.
I do like, the older I get, I like quality things. But I will never, ever, ever in my entire life pay full price for something that is designer. I never have, and I never will. People have bought me designer things, and that's wonderful. And I've bought designer, but always on, like, clearance or sale, you know? So there are, like, websites and companies you can go through to buy, like, oh, I want a Rolex, but it is a fifth of the cost. You know, if it's a 20 grand watch, whatever, it's still a lot of money. But that makes more sense to me, buying something that has been, you're buying it pre-owned, but it's still in great quality. Because that's literally what eBay is, you know? Like, when you buy vintagey shit, like...
Well, and I just now, as you were talking, looked up Rolex, and for sale. And the cheapest one I found was $7,000.
Okay.
And then I saw them all the way up to $20,000. And I know they go higher than that.
Yeah.
Because, well, I also watch the Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, this watch, which is so rare, blah, 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 it's now worth, $1 million
house.
or whatever. And it's like, first of all, and I know this is a sidetrack, but if you told me whatever thing I owned was worth a shit ton of money, I would sell it. I don't care what it is.
No.
Grandma's thing that you've inherited is worth $1 million. Sell it.
I do guess, though, like, if you're going to buy a Rolex and you buy a $7,000 Rolex, whatever, because I do know that there are people who buy their wife's engagement ring for that much plus. You know what I mean? So...
Well, that is true, and we don't tend to think anything about that.
Not at all. And, I mean...
Because it's a gesture of your love.
I know, and I don't really care about that.
No.
Like, I want a cute ring. I want a ring that's cool and means something to me. I don't want a ring that's just like a giant white solitaire.
No.
That's boring.
One kind of something funny about that is when T and I were about to get engaged.
Yeah.
He said to me that he was actually nervous about asking me because he knew that I wanted something fancy. Like, I wanted diamonds or whatever. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, yes, you do. Every week in your show, you make fun of brides or, whatever, women who come up, the brides, and are wearing like a little tiny chip of a rock or something with no diamonds. I go, of course I do. That's the gig.
Yeah.
I am there to make fun of them.
Yeah.
Their party loves it. Everybody else loves it. They may not love it, but everybody else is having a great laugh at it. And I was like, I couldn't possibly give even the slightest shit about having a diamond. It's a clear stone. I mean, really, rhinestones to me are just as pretty sometimes. But it was like, a plain gold band is fine with me. And he was like, but no, I don't. Diamonds are nice. They're lovely. They're not my thing.
Right.
I'm not going to go out of my way for a diamond. If somebody gave me one, I'd be like, oh, thank you. That was nice. But I'm also not going to hold it in any higher regard than another piece of jewelry that I really love or means something to me.
Well, and I love what you guys did because you both had the white gold and the gold rings, and you often would wear a ring in between them.
Yes.
Right? And I love that. I did tell Gavin, I was like, if you decide to buy me a ring and it's diamond, I don't want a natural diamond. I would prefer a lab-created diamond. And I said, because it's good luck finding a diamond that wasn't stolen from a mine. Right. You know what I mean? Or
don't
exploited.
Want a blood diamond.
I do not want a blood diamond. And, like, people say, our diamonds aren't. And I'm like, okay, fine, but it's been exploited. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want it. I want a diamond that's created because whose effort went into that? You know what I mean? No one lost a hand. No one's child died working in a mine for it.
By the way, do you know who created lab created diamonds and stuff? A teenage girl.
I love that.
Yeah, a teenage girl who was doing an experiment for school for her science class created the whole lab. Created diamonds.
I love that.
I love that. I hope she got very wealthy.
Yeah, me too.
Who knows though? But and I realize we've jumped all around on this whole thing.
Look, it's a hot day. My brain is melted.
My brain so far is not melted, but it will be later.
Yeah.
And in just a little bit, I have to take my kids to swim lessons, so I get to sit in a hot...
It's hot in there, huh?
It's hot in there, and it smells of chlorine. But at least, it's like the chlorine smell covers the human smell.
Praise.
Because it's packed in there. Because all these people are watching their kids do lessons and stuff. So, that's what I have. Since you asked Starbucks Girl, That's what I'm doing today.
Yeah. Going to take my children
Although
swimming.
back to that whole retail relationship thing, I'm going to say the nice little redheaded girl who works at Starbucks that we go to most often, we have seen her enough. I still don't want to have a full-on relationship with her, but when she says to us, "Oh, here now you don't want a straw," I remember that, and it's it's so nice to see you. But I'm good with that, because she's now seen us 100 times.
Yeah.
But
that's also good on her. She remembers us and knows what we want. Yeah,
right. But if you're trying to sell me a car or a piece of furniture or whatever, please don't act like you're my buddy, because you're not.
And also about a car, I don't care. You can tell me it has all the things, and I'm like, does it have a camera? Does it have seat warmers? Is it an automatic? That's all I really care about.
There was a man who, when I bought, I think it was 2 cars ago, 3 cars. I don't know. I go through cars pretty fast.
Yeah.
He tried to be like my buddy, whatever. He's tried to that approach, and clearly didn't listen to a word I said.
Right.
Because when I got to the part of where I'm going to be signing papers, and the manager or whoever, the person that you sign papers with, the finance manager, was like, "Okay, so you're putting down this much money, and your payments are going to be this, and that's for 7 years or however many years it is." And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, "Well, yeah, because this is the deal." I go, no, I want to lease a car. I don't want to buy a car outright, because I want a new car every couple of years.
Yeah.
And yes, I know it's a waste of money. I know it's not the best, use of my finances. I don't care.
Yeah.
That is the one place in my life I get to be a spoiled princess, is having a new car every few years. Whatever. But he didn't listen to a word I said. And so as I'm going, skirt, nope,
Pump the brakes.
I said, I'm not signing any of this, because this is not what I agreed to.
Yeah.
And he's like, but this is what Art wrote down, and this is what Art's... But Art wasn't listening.
Yeah.
And Art did what was good for Art, not what was good for me.
Yeah.
So, and I get it, a woman buying a car. Oh my God. Oh, I'm going to tell one more story and then we got to go. I went out to have one of my cars serviced. I had just bought it, and did I look under the hood? No, because I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Why would you?
I didn't know that I couldn't look under the hood because the latch that you was broken. Okay? And so I took it back to the dealership, and I went with a male friend of mine, and the mechanic refused to talk to me. Only talked to my male friend, because, what does a woman know? A woman can't know anything about cars. And finally, and I kept saying, it's my car.
Yeah.
Talk to me. And he would start talking to me, but in just a second or two, would be back talking to my male friend. Finally, my male friend had to walk away. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm going to leave so that you can actually talk to the mechanic. And it was like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's so awful.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to go now, because I said, I have to take kids to the pool and figure out a way not to die of heat stroke
Girl,
today.
I can't even. That's
mostly that'll consist of not going outside.
Yeah. Can't you just go sit in your car?
Ooh, that'd be nice. It has really good air conditioning.
Your car?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, go do that. Do you have to be there?
At the pool?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Sit in the car instead of sitting in the pool waiting for the children. Oh.
Do you have to be...
I don't.
Yeah, why the fuck you staying?
That's a good question.
Yeah, bitch, what?
Go for a little drive.
Yeah, go for a drive.
It's a half an hour. I know how long the lesson's going to be. That may be what I do today.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go with you. As long as I'm not going inside.
All right. So, as you know, if you've been listening to us, we do this every week. Our podcast comes out every Wednesday. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you download a podcasting app. And when you subscribe, we will come to you automatically.
We will, girl.
And, you can tell all your friends about us. Mm-hmm. And tell us about these crazy bitches who...
Crazy bitches. We be crazy bitches.
Who just talk about whatever the fuck comes to their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
that's what we do.
I think that you should write us letters.
Absolutely.
Hate mail suggestions.
And where should they send that?
To itwouldseemasthough at gmail.com.
Do that.
Yeah,
send us anything.
Not .comma, but .com.
.coma.
.coma.
That's what we'll be in later today.
Yeah.
Like when I go up to my room in the upstairs of my house.
Is an oven.
Where the air conditioning doesn't really do any good. I will be in dot coma.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway,
Noodles.
but that's it. I gotta go.
Me too, girl. I'll see you
Bye.
later. Bye.
It would seem as though